Hey guys, welcome back to What's on My Plate. So for tonight I'm making a roasted butternut squash soup. It's going to be delicious. You're going to love it. So let's get started. Okay, so to get started with our butternut squash soup, we need a butternut squash. So this is about 3 pounds of butternut squash. So we're going to cut this in half and then we're going to remove the seeds. So that's the next step. Okay, so I'm slicing it in half. Okay. There you go. And now we just remove the seeds. Okay. Okay, so remove all the seeds, and now after we remove the seeds, we're going to go ahead and baste it with oil, salt and pepper, and paprika, and we're going to put it in the oven. Okay, so now all the seeds are removed. So on the butternut squash, we're going to drizzle olive oil all over. It's about a half a teaspoon of olive oil. So just rub that in each one. Okay, then we're going to sprinkle sea salt all over. It's about a quarter teaspoon of sea salt, and then we're going to sprinkle some pepper, just a sprinkle of pepper. Okay, and then some paprika on top. Now this is going to go in my baking sheet in the oven at 425 degrees for approximately 35 to 40 minutes, and it's going to be face up. And we're going to let it cook, and then once you can pierce it with your fork. It might need more time. Just pierce it with your fork, and if you can pierce it, then we can remove it and then scoop all of it out. But it's going to be delicious. Look. Okay, so that'll be the next step. So we're going to get it on the tray in the oven. Okay, so on my baking sheet I have my butternut squash. It's going right in the oven, as I said before, 425 degrees, cut face up, and it's going to roast in there for about 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. Just pierce it with the fork. As soon as you can penetrate the butternut squash, then you can remove it from the oven. Just let it cool slightly before you start scooping it out. So that'll be the next step. Okay, so my butternut squash is in the oven and it's roasting. So I'm also going to roast my garlic. I'm just going to trim off the top. I just need 3 cloves of garlic. So I'm going to trim off the top here. Okay, I'm going to place them in a piece of foil. I'm going to drizzle some olive oil on it. And I'm going to sprinkle with pepper and some salt. Just a sprinkle, mix it up. Okay, and then I'm just going to close this up. And while my butternut squash is roasting, my garlic will roast with it for the whole time. And so that is what I'm going to do now. Okay, just wanted to let you know, I forgot to tell you to score the top of the butternut squash. So I put it in the oven and then I took it back out and I scored it once I put it in to cook, and I did not tell you that part. So you have to score it, it'll cook quicker. Okay, so while my butternut squash is roasting with the garlic, we're going to need 2 celery stalks and 2 medium to large carrots and a medium onion. So basically Once the butternut squash comes out of the oven, we're going to use an immersion blender for the whole soup. So basically I'm saying rough chop. We don't need little pieces, just rough chop the whole thing. Just big pieces like this. Okay, so move that aside. Do the same thing with the carrots. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with the onion. So just rough chop it. Okay. Okay. Rough chop. Just right in half. Again. Again. And again. So I'm just going to finish this carrot. So this we're going to just set aside for now, and we'll get to the other steps after. Okay, so let's go over the seasoning for my soup. So basically we need 2 bay leaves. Okay, and then we need a half a teaspoon of paprika. That's everything that's in here. A 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, a half a teaspoon of basil leaves, a 1/4 teaspoon of celery salt, an 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and an 1/8 teaspoon of allspice. That is all the seasoning, plus we will add 1 teaspoon of honey after. So this seasoning is ready to go in once the butternut squash comes out and everything is in the pot ready to cook. We'll add all the seasoning. So that'll be the next step. Okay, so in my Dutch oven pot here, I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to let that heat up, and then once it heats up, we're going to go ahead and add our carrots, celery, and onion. And we're going to sprinkle a little bit of salt on these. And we're going to saute them for a few minutes until they're a little bit tender. Just a few minutes. Okay, and that'll be that. And then I have my butternut squash right here. I'm going to go ahead and scoop all the insides out, and here's my garlic as well. Okay, so here's my butternut squash, and I'm just going to scoop out all the insides here. Okay, I'm going to do that for each of the halves that we have. It smells so delicious. You could smell like the flavor. When you roast the butternut squash, it gives you a deeper, it's a deeper taste than if you just boil it. I make them both. I make it both ways, but I wanted to do the roasting today, and then on my channel I'll make the boiled butternut squash as well. So as you can hear, my vegetables over there are sautéing very well. And then when I get all of this out, we're going to add all of this in there. Okay, and that'll be the next step. Okay, so my vegetables are sautéing. So again, until they're tender, it's going to be about 5 to 7 minutes. So in the meantime, I'm going to take all my butternut squash and I'm going to add it in here with the vegetables. And again, the butternut squash has so much flavor because of the roasting. And so remember, we also roasted 3 cloves of garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and squeeze the garlic out. And I'm going to add that in here as well. Look at that, that's all flavor. Okay. Okay, and this one too. Okay, so put all the garlic in here as well. And that's going to give it flavor. Okay, and now put it on a medium-low heat. Okay, so now we added the 3 cloves of roasted garlic. Mix everything together. Okay. And it's okay if the carrots and the celery and the onion are not softened that much, because we are going to cook this and it's going to get softer, and then we're going to use the hand blender. So the next thing to do is I'm going to add a teaspoon of honey. Okay, so a teaspoon of honey in here. Okay. Get that in there. I'm going to add all the seasonings that I had said previously. And my 2 bay leaves. Mix that up in here. Okay. And now we need 32 ounces of vegetable broth. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. Okay. After the broth is in here, we're going to put it on a simmer for about 25 minutes. Okay. So let this simmer for 25 minutes with the lid on. Okay, and then after the 25 minutes, well, 25 to 30 minutes, after that time, we're going to shut it off. I'm going to shut the heat off here, and then we're going to blend it right in the same pot. And then our soup is done. We'll just remove the bay leaf, but you can smell it. It smells so great right now. So I'm very excited for this. So this is my butternut squash soup. I'm going to cover it, let it cook, and then once it's done, I will use my hand blender, and it'll be nice and creamy, and then I will show you that part. Okay, so my soup is done simmering, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the bay leaves out of here, and then I'm going to set it aside, and then we're going to go ahead and use the immersion blender to blend it all up. That is the next step. Okay, so now it's ready for me to blend it up, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's pretty loud, so I'm going to just do this off camera, and I'll show you when it's done. Okay, so my soup is all blended up, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add 1/8 of a cup of heavy cream. You don't need to put heavy cream in it if you do not want it. So if you want to leave it out, go ahead. So I'm just going to add that in. So you know, I just tasted it. So you can taste your soup to see if it needs any more salt. If you do not like spice, then leave the cayenne pepper out, because the 1/8 of a teaspoon that I put in here, it's very strong. It has a spice. I love it. But I'm just letting you know, just put a pinch in if you don't want that much spice. And then the heavy cream will also, you know, get rid of some of that heat from that cayenne pepper. Or you can add some more honey if yours is too spicy. But this soup is super flavorful, and the taste is there, all of it. The only thing I would say is just get a baguette, toast that up to dip in there. So the other thing is, when you roast the butternut squash, which I said earlier, the flavor has so much depth. It's different from boiling it. So this is the most flavorful butternut squash soup I've ever had, the way I make it here. So I really hope you try it. It's so, so good. It's creamy, it's delicious. And just get your baguette and go ahead, pour this in a bowl and eat it with your bread. It's delicious. And I thank you so much for watching what's on my plate. I'm going to go ahead and put this in a bowl, and I will take a picture and I will show you. Thank you so much. And I'll give you a close. Okay, so here's my soup plated. I did add some pumpkin seeds right in the center. And I'm toasting up my baguette right now. And again, thank you so much for watching what's on my plate.